Your page titles, meta descriptions, and headers are probably helping your site, but it might actually be the silent killer that is pulling your site down. In this video, we'll be looking at those three things along with semantic HTML. So those four, I think, are some of the most basic elements that you can really address to make sure that your site has a stable foundation and it allows you just to build constantly and drive up those rankings and drive up the traffic to your site that you want to get. So let's jump right in. We start with the titles just to have a look at why they are probably the most important element that you need to have a look at when you do any piece of optimization on your site. So the titles, you can always see at the top of your browser if you have a browser tab open, the little piece of text that is shown there. It's also what you see in search results, the little blue link that you see above the black text. When you search for anything, that is the title tag. So that title tag and the way that Google looks at it is they want to understand what is your page about. And it's the very first thing that they read. So if you're going to put that in there in the descriptive way, that's going to help. If you're going to do something silly like just call your homepage home, who's going to know what your site is about? And Google is also not going to try and guess. They have enough websites to have a look at. And they're not going to bother too much with home, except if you're in the home improvement industry or something like that. But then still, you need to improve what that looks like. Say, for example, you sit in an industry where you work on garage doors. Rather than saying home, say garage door repairs in the San Francisco area. Now, if people see that, they would know where do you provide the service and what service do you provide. In the same way, Google will also understand where do you provide the service and what service do you provide. Now, that compared to home, not too difficult to actually see why that is important. Second part that you have to have a look at is the meta description. It is the part that pops up just below the little blue link when you have a look at the search results. It provides more information, gives you an understanding of what the page is going to be about and what you can expect to see. The importance of that is that it helps you to improve the click-through rate from any rankings that you've got. If your description is more relevant and it gives people a better idea of what they will find on the next page, it improves the likelihood of them actually clicking through to your result versus a competitor. So it has value from that point of view. Over the years, it has, however, lost quite a bit of value for strict rankings and improvements in that way, but it's still no reason to neglect it. It's also something that the large language models have been known to reference as well, just to get a better understanding of what your page is about. So anything where you can improve your visibility in search engines and your click-through rate, as well as provide more information for ChatGPT, Perplexity, Claude, Grok, all of those, do it. For the meta descriptions, you have roughly about 150 to 160 characters to play with to get your message across. And that is plenty. Usually comes down to about 2 sentences, which would give you enough room to play with to provide enough context on what that page is about. The next one, the headers, are probably one of the things that often get overlooked, and people just do it partially and without really thinking too much about it. Now, something that people often do is they just have that main header, the H1, in place. Then they neglect the rest of the headers that you see lower down on the page. And if those get neglected, it is not only difficult for users to understand what your page is about, but Google also struggle and they aren't able to piece everything together as clearly. And if they're not certain about something, they will either devalue it in their rankings or they will not rank you at all. That also goes for the large language models. And they prefer to have that type of structure, which makes it easy for them to understand how things fit together. So, with a well structured title, a descriptive meta description, and headers that make sense in a hierarchical fashion, where you start with the H1, you have the H2s as subheaders covering variations of topics that you have on that page, and then H3s, which go maybe into a little bit more depth under those subheadings. That is really a lot more helpful for absolutely everybody using the site. The last one, the semantic HTML, might sound like a little bit of a weird one. Most sites these days have a lot of their content in div tags. With that, it doesn't provide a lot of description about what a page is about. And that is something that you can honestly improve on by just doing a couple of tweaks to your page. Ways in which this can be done is just having clear header tags, clear footer tags, article tags, and then specific section tags. If you've got those in there, it's easier to understand the combination of information that you're providing. The good news, however, is specifically with the semantic HTML is that a lot of it is covered if you're running on a CMS that is widely used. For example, if you use WordPress or Wix or Squarespace or even Shopify. If you look at the whole problem and you're trying to, however, fix it across your site, don't look at it as, oh, I need to go and update 40 or 50 or 60 pages. Look at it in little chunks and go and do a little bit every day. So spend 15 minutes a day and take your pages, starting with the home page, and go and update those respective elements. Go and update it every single day, make it part of your routine, and in a month or two, you should be able to get through the majority of the pages on the majority of sites. If you've got a bigger site with a bigger team, see how you can work it into their workflow so that you do that over a 2-3 month period. And the only thing that you're going to see from that is you're going to see rankings improve, you're going to see traffic improve, and that is the solid basis that you should be building your website on.